WDON1204.com. Community focused, globally connected. Find us online at Coleman Global. WDON is proud to present our latest podcast, The Colors of Sound. Our mission is to create a safe space for community members from around the world to share their personal stories. Listen on all streaming platforms or on our podcast station, WDON1204.com. The Colors of Sound podcast. Discover how much we have in common. Tune in as the LGBTQ+ elders of Sage share their passionate stories of struggle, pain, triumph, and love. Available on all streaming platforms. The Colors of Sound podcast. Discover how much we have in common. Over the summer of 2023, Coleman Global partnered with Sage USA to bring the Colors of Sound podcasting workshop to LGBT+ older adults in New York City. The intergenerational sessions focused on finding your point of view and the art of storytelling. Each week, participants crafted their own topics for discussion, developed their own questions to help move the conversations along, spoke about podcasting equipment, and had brief discussions on how to market podcasts online. Throughout the workshop series, the participants shared their personal stories of both struggle and of triumph. We laughed about the things that are common in society and debated those things that divide our global community. Welcome to the Colors of Sound podcast. You are now a part of the conversation. All right, so welcome to another episode of the Colors of Sound podcast here at Sage USA. We are in the Bronx, New York. It's a beautiful day outside. Let's start our conversation.
A certain person who's on trial can talk back to the judge, have a back and forth conversation with the judge, and not get in trouble. That pissed me off. I was like, are you kidding me? Because if that was any other person,
Yes,
they'd be in contempt and put in jail.
that's right.
But because of who he is, how you have a back and forth dialogue with the judge at your trial and nothing happens to you?
Right. It's very disrespectful.
I was like floored. I said, a normal person couldn't do that.
That's
or
right.
A regular person could not do that.
That's right. That's privilege.
With the judge, yes.
That's total privilege.
I couldn't believe it.
And then it emboldens the following of that person, right? It gets them all ramped up and amped up to continue to live outside of the same rules that the rest of us have to live in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
Because it's on so many different levels. It's like useless to call one thing, but they just live like kind of however they feel like it.
Yeah.
Back and forth arguing with sheriffs. You know we'd be shot up.
What? What? But disrespecting a judge and having a back and forth dialogue with the judge.
Sage leads in addressing issues related to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning, and other self-identifying members of the community aging. In partnership with its constituents and allies, Sage works to achieve a high quality of life for LGBTQ+ older people, supports and advocates for their rights, fosters a greater understanding of aging in all communities, and promotes positive images of LGBTQ+ life in later years. How do you guys view politics? You know, like voting and like, do you vote? Do your friends vote?
Yeah, I don't know if they really know what they're voting for. Sometimes I don't, but I have conversations with people that are older than me, and I try to find my own place. But right now, it feels like I have, in terms of like presidents, it just feels like I have to pick between people I don't want to pick, and it's like, yes, my vote counts. But if my vote is going where I don't want my vote to go anyway, and I'm helping this person, whomever, it's just like, what is the point of all of this? Like, everything is so flawed and like set up in a way where I don't have much faith, but I still fight because it's my human right. In my mind, like, this is what I care about, even though the bigger part of this doesn't care as much, we still have things that are sacred that we can protect and still fight for. Because in fighting, and in speaking up and raising awareness, I am showing how I care and doing what I can do.
The only big I vote for when the president, because all these, like yesterday was like the city council and little in districts and stuff, so I didn't know those people. But I was really happy for the gentleman that was one of the Central Park Five.
Oh, yeah.
That he's a council member, and he ran for council member, and he won for Harlem. So I was happy to hear that.
Wasn't he already in that seat?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think this was his first time running, and they said he was unopposed. So and then he got it. So I was happy to hear that. But in your neighborhood, you really don't see anybody until it's time to vote. Then they want to shake your hand and take your picture and ask where you live and what you do, and other than that, you don't see them. You don't even know. You don't know who they are. The day before or the day of, you see them. Like I forgot the gentleman's name in my district. I know his name, but I forgot it. And the day of voting, this was a few years ago, he was on the corner of my block. And I was like, oh, and he was like, I knew who he was. And, he wanted to take pictures and shake our hand and do all of that stuff and introduce us to people and tell us what he's going to do, blah, 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 blah. And then I didn't see him no more. And that's what they do.
That is what they do. And, the only other time you see them is when they get in trouble.
Yes.
And then you see them all over the news, and then everybody's trying to take them down or whatever, replace them. Share your story on the Colors of Sound podcast. Our mission is to create a safe space for community members from around the world to share their unique stories. Do you have an interesting story to share? Or perhaps a journey of triumph from a challenge that you faced? Do you want the world to know about your talent? Visit our website and complete our guest intake form at WDON1204.com. The Colors of Sound podcast. Discover how much we have in common.